Hello and welcome to Members on the Mic with the Troy Chamber of Commerce, where we give you a glimpse into some of our Troy Chamber members as they give us a little glimpse into their company and share some of the business lessons they've learned along the way. Hi everyone, I'm Tara Thompson-Cusack, President and CEO of the Troy Chamber of Commerce, and I'm joined by the colorful, because we both picked really bright colors today, Vice President of the Chamber, Sheila Denstead.
Hi everyone.
First of all, I'd like to take a moment to thank our presenting sponsor, Trion Solutions. Stay tuned for our very first commercial break where you can learn how you can rely on Trion. So Sheila, we have some fun guests. We have guests, plural, today. This is more exciting. Could you tell us a little bit about them and get them introduced?
Absolutely. I'm very, very excited today to welcome Eric and Dr. Joan Haakonstad, owners of DBAT Baseball and Softball Academy in Troy. This is a first for us, as Tara just mentioned. We have two of you, and you have amazing bios. So what we thought we would do is let you introduce yourselves.
Oh, yeah, good call.
Oh,
So-
yay.
So who do we start with?
Rock, paper, scissors, go.
Of course, they both pick rock. Okay, Doc
All right.
Joan. Doc Joan.
All right, yeah, we could have kept going for a while there. Hi, my name is Dr. Joan Haakonstad. I'm a retired shrink. So my specialty is crisis intervention, used to conduct psychiatric evaluation, suicidal assessment evaluation, homicidal psychosis, whatever it may be. If you were in imminent danger to yourself or others, I'd be called in to do a lethality assessment. So I retired shortly after we got married, and yes, and really wondered what the heck I was going to do with my life. I had no idea because that was the only thing that I really intended to do. Got a real estate license, wasn't very thrilled with that. I'm not very good at that, so don't call me. I got into financial services. I worked my way up to a partial owner in the business. Actually found out that I kind of enjoyed that. Not the financial services side, the actual ownership of business.
Yeah.
Exactly. That part was kind of fun. And it was interesting because a lot of businesses function and act the same. So it's just that the actual item that you're selling differs. So, but standard operating procedures, the roles, everything are fairly standardized across the business. So when Eric decided to retire, and I'll let him talk about him, we actually bought a franchise, moved back here, and kind of went from there.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn to talk about me.
Yes.
I have an engineering background. I came from Ann Arbor. I grew up there and went to school at the University of Michigan with a mechanical engineering degree, and promptly went out to the southwest of Tucson, Arizona for my job interviews. And it was February. It was 80 degrees out there. And I called my mom. I said, I'm not coming back. And the rest is history. I was out in 20 years out in the southwest between Tucson and Las Vegas, doing various aerospace and defense industry work. I actually was a rocket scientist at some point in my career. We did a lot of work expanding the International Space Station with a habitation module concept that has expandable hull structures. So it was a lot of fun. It was very exciting. Got to meet a lot of really cool people, worked with some astronauts that were just amazing people. A lot of fun, very inspirational. The backgrounds were extremely diverse. Went out west and learned to play hockey with some of those astronauts. Not in Michigan, out in Arizona. So it was kind of bizarre. Anyway, long story short, I did retire. We had our child at 4 years old. He was about to enter the school system, and we didn't want to have him grow up in Las Vegas in the school systems. So we decided to start looking for other opportunities. Always had that entrepreneurial spirit. Joan's family is very deep in it. It was my first toe dip into it. I was very comfortable in my nice little corporate world, but we decided to take the chance, and I basically retired from the engineering world after 20 years of service, and we just cold turkey said we're going to buy another business, and that's where the Intelligent Office came in. Intelligent Office hired a lot of really good people. Management was fantastic. It runs itself. So then we became bored.
It's true.
Quite frankly. And that's where the idea to open a second business came in. Our son is really big into baseball. I've been his baseball coach for about 5 years. And we wanted to do something that has the ability for our son to work with us and see how to grow and start a business and how to hire people and how to communicate with your constituents and how to go and do outreach into the community and how to do marketing. And so baseball or something in the athletic realm was what we were looking for. We came across the DBAT model. It is a franchise. It's very well established down south and out west. It's a fantastic business model. We fell in love with the owners. We fell in love with the corporate folk back in Dallas, and we just decided to, no toe dipping for us. We
Jump right in.
Jump right into the deep
I guess
end.
I have to start with a joke. So what do you get when you put a rocket scientist and a shrink together? DBAT. Seems weird. Seems like a very unique. It didn't work. It wasn't.
Bizarre joke.
It was
Baseball,
bizarre,
duh.
wasn't it? I would have
Right?
never said, "Hey, let's open up a company that's going to thrive in the baseball and athletic world."
Right.
So I guess obviously DBAT is known, like you said, a little bit more in the down south area. What is DBAT, and can you tell us a little bit about why it belongs in Troy?
Absolutely. So we have 18,000 square feet of indoor baseball facility. So we have 15 cages and tunnels, 4 batting cages, 8 all-purpose tunnels for practice, for hitting, whatever it may be. We have pitching tunnels. We have a full Rawlings and Easton store. And we have pretty much anything and everything baseball and softball related, all under one roof. It really, we want to be the one-stop shop for baseball and softball needs. So we have lessons, instructors, camps, clinics, just a whole wide array of different things there. So, and why do we need to be in Troy? Because nothing out there existed. There's a whole bunch of small mom and pop shops, and most of them cater to the travel teams. And the reality is not everybody wants to be on a travel team. And good for those that want to be on one. My son is on one, but my son was also on a rec team before, and there was no place for him to go and practice. During the winter, there was nothing for him to do, and he really had a goal to earn a position on a travel team, but he had no place to go to practice so that he could earn that type of position. So as I told my son, what do you do when you want to do something? You set a goal, you create your action plan, and you take action. So we did the same thing because we saw the void and we wanted to fulfill the void. We also saw how much money we spent on our child. And we realized, holy cannoli, if we're doing this, then we know
Secret's
that
out
there's,
now.
that there's a lot of other people that are doing the same because there's a need and there's a void and people want to fulfill that void.
Well,
So-
and weather has obstacles. So we're in
just a lot.
Michigan. So as you're saying, there's a huge pause in baseball because, hey, once the snow hits, you can't really just walk out to the field down the street. You can't really get that practice time.
Yeah.
Now there's a venue where it's an all year around sport. that you can-
Absolutely. In the summertime gets neglected a lot too. And one of the points is it's bizarre, right? The most popular, highest producing DBATs are actually in areas where they can play outdoors all year round.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's baffling, but they have figured out that they can get much more efficient practices done indoors in a confined place where you're not spending 3/4 of your time shagging balls or sometimes the fields are a little bit muddy or heaven forbid it's like in the middle of the South and it's 98 degrees
hot,
and
yeah.
98% humidity down there. Our shop has air conditioning for the summer, by
Climate
the way.
control.
I liked that plug. Well done.
But yeah, no, it's a really interesting phenomenon that the teams down south and out west practice more indoors than we do up here
Year round.
year round.
Yeah. So
Who'd have thunk?
who'd have thunk? Who knew?
So, Dr. Joan, Eric, you know our members. And one of the reasons we wanted to have you here today is an educational concept. You guys have the entrepreneurial spirit. You've opened businesses. Can you talk about, buying a business that's already up and running and starting one from scratch and maybe some nuggets of information for our members that may be contemplating bouncing between something like that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Dr. Joan taking over here. So it's an interesting concept. Obviously, we have purchased 2 franchises, so we're not exactly starting from scratch when we did our businesses. We did buy 1 franchise that was pre-existing location. It had been in business for about 15 years. And then the second one, the DBAT, was brand new to the area. It's not a well-known brand up here, and it was a build to suit. We built the construction, the building, the build out, everything was brand new. And so there's a lot of differences in terms of the pain. And the pain on the brand new one is you don't actually have a pre-existing revenue stream to help you along the way. And that can be extremely frightening, honestly. Is it going to take off? On the other business, Intelligent Office, it was around for 15 years. We knew what we were getting into. We knew what financial stream we could rely on from month to month, and then it was just up to us to change it in our image and grow it to the point where we wanted it to be and knew where it could be.
Yeah.
So some of the things are a little bit different in terms of, hey, I can put my foot stamp on the culture and the methods from day one, or I can buy something that's a little bit more secure, but it's not exactly running the way it should. So now I've got to make some very hard changes to get it to the point where things are operating the way they should be. And sometimes those are very difficult decisions to make, and they're not fun decisions to make. And it's, I don't know, it's which bin of pain do you want? and that's really what it boils down to.
I definitely agree 100% with that. For us, it was that the established businesses have procedures in place. As Eric says, the cultures can be changed. Obviously, that takes time. You have to shift through it. But procedures are in place. Good or bad, they're in place. When you are starting from scratch, yes, even with a franchise, you have a foundation. You buy a business in a box, which is fabulous. But that doesn't mean they tell you, this is how you turn on your computer. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. There aren't really the standard operating procedures or the actual day-to-day operations that you need to know for a business. So you actually have to establish that. And quite frankly, that can be overwhelming. Not only do you not have any income stream, but it's overwhelming to think, oh my gosh, there's like everything I have to do. I don't even know where to start. So that part can be overwhelming. And sometimes you just need to suck it up, buttercup, and jump on in and just do what you need to do. I prioritize. What we do is we create a list of all the different things. And that's an ongoing fluid list because that list is constantly growing. And then we look at it and we prioritize. What are the 2 things that we need to do in the short term that are going to have the biggest impact? That 80-20 rule is a huge, big part of business. 20% of what you do is going to impact about 80% of your business. So concentrate on those items. So we take about 2 to 3 items that we prioritize. We get those completed where we needed them to be. And then we look at the rest of our list and start knocking them down 2 at a time, maybe 3 at a time. Now, for an established business, that's already in place. However, it's not always ran well either. So although Intelligent Office here in Troy, we bought an established business, we came through, we really kind of worked things through. We also bought another Intelligent Office in Bloomington, Minnesota, and that was not run well. In fact, it was a pretty big mess. And it took us several months just to clean up the mess before we could even concentrate on building it as well. And so that was going in and not just having to build the foundation, but actually say, oh my gosh, what the heck? I don't know who's a client, who's not a client, where this money's coming from. It was a disaster, quite frankly. And so fixing that up, it's again, choose your poison. Which one is a better mix for you?
Well, and it's hard to do a checklist when you have to clean up first.
Correct.
So you don't realize there's going to be so many things that you have to do first before you can even get to that. So the changes in being able to pivot at any point makes it so complicated.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
And you do your due diligence. You look for these things. But, people put shiny ribbons on the thing they're trying to sell, and sometimes they're not exactly forthcoming with all the information that they should be.
Shiny happens, as Sheila
Absolutely.
says. It's her
Shiny
favorite thing
happens.
to say. So.
Yeah, so true.
Shiny happens.
Well, guys, I think this is a good moment to take a quick break and hear a word from our presenting sponsor, Trion Solutions. We'll be right back.
I'm Joe Vicari, President and CEO of the Joe Vicari Restaurant Group, which encompasses 24 restaurants throughout the country. Trion's able to provide for our employees health insurance, 401ks, vacation time. All of that helps us compete against larger companies for top talent. Happy employees make for great service, and that's what our restaurants are known for.
That's why we rely on Trion.
You can always rely on Trion.
Welcome back to Members on the Mic with the Troy Chamber of Commerce. I am here with Doc Joan and Eric from DBAT. So obviously, brand new concept coming to Troy. Can you tell us a little bit about your advertising strategy and how you're getting out there to not only just meet with the community, but how you're actually looking at leagues and travel teams and kind of the nuts and bolts of that?
Well, absolutely. Step one is to engage heavily with your Troy Chamber of Commerce.
So very true. So very true.
Now you can answer.
Now you can,
Well, I was going to say
as
that.
you
He
can
stole
tell, they're
my
married.
answer.
It's wonderful. So go.
No, networking works. As long as you work it, networking works, pure and simply. And so we are a huge advocate of networking, and that will not go away. We believe in the Troy Chamber. We love what you guys do. You guys do an amazing job, and we're forever grateful. So thank you, Troy Chamber.
Thank you.
So networking works. It's also
Social
about
media is really huge with our demographic.
Yeah.
You've got to really supply information to two customers. For us, we have two customers. One is the actual baseball or softball player, which goes on certain social platforms. Certain things appeal to them, but more importantly, we also have to appeal to the parents. The parents
And
are
so-
the ones that are paying for it.
And they're also found in different locations, as
Yeah.
Eric was
true.
saying. So your parents are going to be on Facebook. So we strongly advertise on Facebook. But your kids are on TikTok. Your kids are on the Instagram. Is it the Instagram?
It is
I don't
now.
even
Oh,
know.
well, it is
Yeah.
now. Good.
This is why
Clearly
we're on Facebook.
Not a kid. So we heavily advertise in both of those areas, but we also track what's working and what's not working. So 90% of our original clientele were actually coming from Facebook. Almost all of them found us on Facebook. So obviously we continue to heavily advertise in that area. Every single time somebody comes in that we don't know, we ask them, how did you hear about us? We were on the phone. How'd you hear about us? You have to ask. You have to know where your marketing dollars are working. It started to slowly transition to word of mouth, but then also Google became a higher priority. So we're starting to shift. We're continuing to push on the Facebook and the Instagram and the TikTok too.
A lot of people
but
are
we're
looking
starting
for indoor
transition.
batting cages.
Yeah.
To the Google, to the
Google.
Everything
See, now
is
we're gonna
the
keep
nowadays.
saying
My
the in it,
goodness
so.
gracious. So we're
Come to the indoor batting cages at DBAT.
deep at Troy.
Troy. Yes.
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 So yes, it's about knowing and following what's going on, and then continuing to push your marketing dollars in that way.
But again, I think the best part about what you're saying is, yes, obviously you have to look around at these different avenues, but you're asking the question, thank you. Because so many people will throw things out and say, I'm advertising all these places, but they're really not asking the question of where did you find us?
Yeah.
And that is so pivotal in knowing where you should be spending your money.
Absolutely. Why guess? The answer is
Yeah.
right in front of you if you are willing to ask.
Well, honestly, and then you have to have the, we'll call it the boldness to ask your customers and clients, hey, is there anybody else that you know that would enjoy the experience here? And absolutely is usually the answer, right? All these kids come in, they playing on one team or another,
They have
or they
friends.
have buddies down
They
the
have
street. I would venture to say this is not a proven mathematical statistic, but we're over 90% of the people that have come through the door have not only come back, but come back with somebody else or given us the name of their coach, and their teams had come in. And it's just been it's a really good organic growth that way. When you give people a great product and, more importantly, a great experience and treat them well, they're going to want to come back, and they're going to want to be raving fans. And that's what we're really trying to get to, is that have everybody just advertise it for us.
Love it.
Because they have appreciated the experience that they've received from the DBAT.
Well, it also shows that all that hard work and pain that you dealt with early on is working because people are talking, they're coming back, they're bringing friends, you're doing something right.
Absolutely.
So you've got kids in there, obviously, seniors, juniors, varsity age kids. What are you hearing about them moving on from high school to college ball, scholarships, those kind of things? What kind of tips can you tell some of the parents out there that are maybe, hoping that they have the next Derek Jeter or Judge or somebody out there?
No, it's an interesting question. The reality is it's a tough time in baseball over the last couple of years, just because of the extra years that the COVID allowed. the college students. And so a lot of the high schoolers are competing with folks that already have extra
Your 5
eligibility.
years.
So there's actually less spots right now. Now, in the next year or two, that's going to wean out. But for the kids that are going into college this year, next year, and then last year, it's actually been a little bit tougher for them because they are competing with the kids that have 3 or 4 more years of experience in the college level that they're playing against. But you know, to answer your question, it's perseverance and it's setting that goal. The kid has a goal to play, and you have objectives that you need to meet. The coaches are very transparent on what they're looking for at the collegiate level. It's no secret. They know exactly what type of attitude they want to see. They want to know exactly what type of grades they're looking for. They want to know exactly what type of skill sets they're looking for. And notice only one of the 3 that I mentioned was the actual skill sets. That attitude and those grades are equally as important. And be very careful what you guys are posting on social media.
Yes.
They do look at that.
Yeah.
And
They
it
will
is
cyber stalk you.
absolutely part of the selection criteria, or more importantly, the deselection criteria. So be very careful what you're posting.
Wow.
Say you have a kid who played baseball a lot of years and then maybe decided to stop just randomly. What do you say to kids that are on the fence that you might think might have some potential there, but they're unsure of it within themselves?
Usually people quit because of their coach. I hate to say that, but they've probably had a poor experience with a coach. And I love coaches. The majority of coaches out there are incredible. They're inspirational. They are helpful at developing, but sometimes we have personalities that just don't match, and it's often associated with the coach. So I would encourage that person to go back and try a different coach. I would go and say, you know what, maybe you're not ready for a team. Maybe you don't want a team. Let's just go play. You don't have to be on a team to play baseball. So let's go down to the batting cages. Let's go and hit off the tee. Let's go and throw the ball around. Let's do whatever it is that you originally fell in love with the sport.
There's a
You fell in love
lot
for a
of
reason.
fun adult leagues in this town. And,
Yeah, there
there's not just adults that play in the adult leagues. There are some 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds that play in those leagues as well. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's really what it boils down to is if you're not having fun, you're not willing to put in the work. And so you got to get to that point again where you're enjoying the game. And one of the things, you mentioned the high school level, but I see this at every age. There are kids that are on the fence where they're good enough to go to that next level team, whether it's going up from a AA team to a AAA team or a AAA team to a majors team. But you really have to ask yourself, what's more important for my development? Is it having the label of being on this team and maybe being that 7, 8, 9 guy? Or do I stay where I'm at and actually be the 1, 2, 3 guy and heaven forbid, get more reps, get more playing time? And that's not a decision that's an easy thing to answer. That's something up to the individual. If somebody has the ambition to go for it and thinks that they can develop from that 7, 8, 9 guy into the 4, 5, 6 guy on that next level team, by all means, push, do it. But be very careful because if you lose out on your reps, you're going to fall further behind. And so it's an interesting decision. And, those things are available at every age. You mentioned the high school level going into college. It's something that is readily available at the high school age. I have these conversations with kids that are freshmen thinking about the coach wants me to come up to the varsity team. And we have conversations with the parents. And most of the time, the parents are very reasonable and the kid's understanding. He's like, yeah, I think that'd be a great honor. I'd be very proud of that. But I think I want to stay on the JV team while I'm a freshman or a sophomore so I can make sure that I'm actually getting my reps in the field and I actually have play time. I want to make sure that if I'm the shortstop, I can refine my skills by actually receiving balls instead of sitting on the bench.
Well, it brings the joy back because, nobody wants to sit on the bench. None of us want to sit on the bench, whatever we do. And so you're bringing the joy of baseball and making sure that you're putting that love of play where it's only going to help grow you. I guess to wrap things up, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. We obviously love having you both here, but DBAT obviously is for all ages. And can you just at least tell our listeners where you're located and how they can reach out to you?
So DBAT Troy, you can find us at dbattroy.com. We are near the Oakland Mall. We're at 501 Executive Drive in Troy, Michigan. Again, dbattroy.com. And I do want to emphasize, we are for all different ages. We have an incredible little 2-year-old. His name is Henry. He comes in with his big old backpack
he's
with the baseball bat sticking out. And
He
he's just
carries his
proud.
own gear
He is
bag, folks.
proud. He does. At 2, he carries his own.
That's some good parenting there.
Right, absolutely. And then we have, I think Carol is probably one of our oldest ladies, and she is 76.
Yay.
And she comes in, and she's still actively out there
She's
engaged, swinging.
last week down in Florida
Love
playing in a
it.
baseball tournament.
Not softball, not slow pitch, baseball.
Yeah.
That a girl.
That's very
Right?
cool.
Go, girl power. I love it. So, yes, we're for all ages. Yes, we have teams play, but we really are targeting for that individual to come in and better themselves. And I just want to add one last thing. Baseball is not just about getting the scholarship. It's not just about going to the next level. Obviously, if that's your goal, we want to help you succeed, and we're going to do what we can. We have the resources. You just need to come in and utilize the resources. But it's also about developing leadership. It's about developing confidence in yourself. It's about being a good teammate. There's so much more than just scholarships that happen from baseball and softball.
Yeah, thank you so much. Obviously, we are excited that DBAT is coming to Troy. Well, it is in Troy. So, but we're excited to visit and actually take a swing ourselves.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure you will see that maybe in video later of me and Sheila if we can. But thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, that is all we have here today on Members on the Mic with the Troy Chamber. Special thanks to Trion Solutions, our presenting sponsor. For more information on joining the Chamber or for upcoming events, go to troychamber.com. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.